Okay, welcome everyone. Nice to have you here. Nice to have you in Elisava, and nice to have you in our Service Design Week. For us, it's a very special moment because it's the moment when we can have an intensive week of work together in a new format with the entrepreneurs from Elisava. And last year we did many workshops and we did many activities. And this year, in partnership with Elisava, we have a new way of working that I'm going to explain in a minute. My name is Jorge Rodriguez. I work in Design Thinkers Group Spain, and I also work here at Elisava. So this is how the week looks like. So we're going to have intensive afternoons. Mornings are planned for you having the free time to do field work or to do any other type of activity outside. The week will be dedicated to the entrepreneurial projects, and everything we do in the workshops will be applied to these projects. So we take these projects as our challenges to work on them and to apply everything that we are going to learn. So today we will have the welcome and presentation. We'll talk about a little bit about the service economy and the power of service design, thinking that it has transformed the world in the last 20 years. We're having this transition, and more and more service and experience has become like the way to go for manufacturers and for almost everyone. After I do the presentation and we talk a little bit about the service economy, we'll show a couple of examples, a couple of cases that we have done, projects. The entrepreneurs are going to make a 1-minute pitch. So the participants of the week can choose which project they want to work with. So we will have 9 pitches of 9 projects. And those who are not pitching can choose who they want to work with for the whole week, developing services for that specific topic. If you have any questions, you can just ask. So after I do this presentation, each project will come into the stage and they will have this 1-minute pitch, and you will have time to think about who you want to work with. And then at the end of a presentation, which will be around 7, you can just go and say, okay, I want to work with you, I want to work with your project, and have a coffee, and then we'll be back, okay? So that's how we're going to work. We like this way of working because everything we do here is project-based learning. So we do think that the best way to learn is to apply things directly into real projects, instead of having like like a fictional case, or we will help these entrepreneurs with hands-on development of the services they will use in their businesses. So after we have teams and each one of you has chosen one of the projects to work across the week, we will start a lecture by Ariel Gunzersweig about, sorry? Who are not here? I guess they should be here, actually. Where was I? Oh yeah, we're going to have this presentation by Ariel Gunzersweig to leverage all the basics on service design and to leverage the methodologies that we're going to use across the week. So he's going to provide you with all the methodologies that we're going to use during the week for developing the entrepreneurial projects services. On Tuesday, we will start at 4, and we will have, and this is the format we're going to have for the rest of the days. We'll have a keynote, like a more inspirational keynote from one professional. We'll have a keynote on the service design projects by Gary van Vlohoven, if I pronounce it well. And then we will have a conceptualization workshop using Lego with Manuela Procopio from Co-Workshops. So this will be like the first stage of developing the services for the entrepreneurs. On Wednesday, we will use the same format. You will have the morning for field work if you want to validate personas, or if you want to gather any information that you think you may need for working in the afternoon. We will have a keynote on like tips on how to make a service stick and be good by Remco Vermeulen from Telefónica. So he will come and share with us tips that they use. And in the afternoon at 5, so we have a one hour with Remco, and then we'll have 4 hours with Merce Grael and the team from Design It to help us go further with the co-creation of services. On Thursdays, we will start at 4 as well. And then we'll start like prototyping to go into blueprints with Ariel, who works here at ELISAVA. We will have an intervention by Banco Sabadell about the projects that they've done internally. And then we will go on with the workshop with Ariel towards the blueprint. On Friday, this is going to be like, again, the morning will be free for using your cultural probes or testing your prototypes or whatever you need to do additional to the workshop. And we will develop a service implementation plan at 5. And then from 7 to 8:30, we will have the presentations of the final developments. So it's like covering the whole process of designing a service, using the projects that are real, supporting our entrepreneurs, and having all this interaction with different professionals from different companies that will come up and help us go ahead with that. So I don't know if all of you have a program in your bags, or have you been provided with the programs? Yeah? Yeah? Good. All right. So we have 9 amazing projects from the entrepreneurship program at MaDE. This is one of the pictures. The entrepreneurship program here is a collaboration with the Rotterdam Business School. It's the first edition of this program, and it's an interesting mix between business and design. So it's the first program that combines actually innovation methodologies and business methodologies towards entrepreneurship. So from now, we will have 1-minute pitches. We'll have 9 pitches from our entrepreneurs who will present their projects, and then we will go on with the conversation. So, who of you wants to come first to stage? Perfect. Your mail. Okay. There you go. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, it's being recorded. Anybody has any questions about how we're going to work? No? It's clear for everyone? Questions? Wait.
Sorry. Okay.
Go to the first one.
Just Yep. So my project is called the Denim Lab. It's a premium jean brand that will be sold only online. The main idea behind the brand is that all the products will be made to order for the customers. So they will be able to choose the length of the legs, the waist if they want it high. So why I did this project? Well, my brand is highly focusing on new technology and sustainability regarding the jean production process. We will be using the laser and ozone technologies to wash and age the denim. And these processes, they cut the amount of water consumed by 97.5% in the production process. And they also replace all the chemicals used. Okay. So basically, the fashion industry is the second largest consumer of water in the world and the third most polluting. That's why I have decided to do a project that is not going to harm the environment or the workforce.
Who goes next?
That was fast.
Yeah, it's 1 minute. You have something?
So I think
Okay.
so that
Seven? But no. Yeah. Algo hizo.
I'll just
That's good.
okay.
It's good. You can put it in your pocket.
Hi, my name is Soon.
My business is giving an exclusive party for the specialty coffee community. We want to celebrate the hard work the coffee people do and to grow the industry stronger. By engaging the audience with the sensorial experience, such as creating a live music performance in collaboration with DJs and baristas, we create a sensorial experience for the coffee people as guests. We want to leave the unforgettable experience for them, unlike the other parties. And the party is only 4 times a year in different cities. And we collaborate with local companies to make this happen. It's like a show with the cocktail party at the end. The first one launched in Barcelona on May 4th, in collaboration with Iberitar, the espresso machine manufacturer here. And my project is called The Secret Coffee Lab. Thank you.
Who goes? Yo te lo pongo. Ponte el micrófono, sí.
So how many of you have struggled with the luggage during a trip? I think most of you spend like an afternoon packaging, what to think about what to bring, to try to fit everything in a bag, and probably you hate about this methodology of going to the airport, passing through security, and if you're not you don't have a carry-on luggage, probably you have to pray for have your luggage on time to your final destination. That's why Viajo Club exists. What is it? Viajo Club is an online platform that helps regular business people to who wants to travel hassle-free by reducing their anxiety of their luggage dependency and saving them time. How does this work? Viajo is a premium service that helps travelers to rent clothes or accessories for their trip, so the luggage will be waiting for them at the end of their destination, and it will be let us know when you finish, and then we pick it up, we clean it, we store it, and it's ready for your next trip. Viajo Club, travel without luggage.
You have a clicker?
Yes. Hello.
You ready?
Have
have to introduce myself. I work with my partner. My name is Juan, and this is my partner, Eva. Yeah. Okay, we are the Moon's Cosmetic. The Moon's Cosmetic is a totally new concept of makeup, especially lipsticks. And we offer a fresh, natural, multifunctional products designed for the cool people like you. And our unique multi-use lipstick are made for on-to-go, which is people on hurry, like we're on a rush hour, and lifestyle with organic ingredients. And our products are made from non-toxic, and our products will not harm you. And our ingredient is
Go ahead, go ahead.
all of their classmates, they have been trying.
Okay.
Sí, un par de imágenes. Deberían ir en orden, ¿no?
¿Sí?
Sí. Hi, I'm Victor Caramiñana, and this is We Do, Collaboration Works. It's basically a team creation platform, and I hope, or probably some of you are independent workers, and you will know that finding a freelance work or a task normally implies that you are not going to be successfully evaluated. So our goal is to create a team to get bigger challenges and be like more successfully with what you do, and be happy with what you are doing. An example would be our classmates from Moon Cosmetics. In their example, they could be looking for a team, in this case a nose or extend, an e-commerce developer, an industrial designer or accountant. Thanks to We Do, they will be able to post their jobs, and people who's already in the platform will apply for it, or they will be able to look for some of them this way. For example, they will look for scent, fragrance, perfume, flavorist, and they will get to the profiles of people. For example, Jen Arches, who has 38 reviews and a 4 out of 5. And well, it's thought to be held in a city, so it's physical, not online. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hi, hello. My name is Andrea. The project I'm working is on the creation of an innovation lab inside a company. The company where we are creating this innovation lab used to be a manufacturer of fitting and hinges, and now we are working on the development of this new business unit that is based on design services. With this, we want to provide our customer we want to create this kind of movement, to improve people's life.
The last time.
Fine. That was Andres.
I haven't even started yet. I have a. Does it work? Have you ever met someone with cancer? Well, cancer is the most well-known chronic disease nowadays, but it's not the only. There are plenty of other chronic diseases which affect chronic patients. Well, it's all around the world, but I chose to have these chronic patients in Hungary with my medical partner together. We are dedicated to improve their life, not only by supporting them medically, but by delivering their remedies. Save their time, reduce their stress, try to help them to live a complete life. Name of the duo.
Who goes? You done? No.
Hola.
¿Tienes el clicker?
¿Esto funciona?
Sí.
Hola. Bueno, my project is a design agency located in Monterrey, Mexico. It's a brand and agency. We do this because we believe that design should be in every aspect in people's lives. We want to provide a service that can be held by everyone. We also want to bring Mexico a little bit higher in the model. We believe that design should be in every aspect. We also are very concerned with all the classes that we take in our methodology of design. Explain it. Bueno, thank you.
Go. You have something?
Yes, I do. So this project is called the Piscucha project. How many of you can carry your own bag? So this is how the project started. We want to build a bag that is a weekender that helps women on the go to travel lighter, but more efficiently by combining lighter and high quality materials with thoughtfully designed compartments with exquisite and that's basically it. We want to combine lighter, efficiency, and
We're pretty much done, right? Good. So now that we all know the challenges and that you've seen the people, you will have time for coffee and mingling and asking things, and so each person can go to one project, so we can have one entrepreneur and one participant working together for the project. Okay? If you have any questions now about this, is it clear? Is it? Good. Okay, so we'll talk about a little bit about the power of service design. And I guess all of us are pretty much aware about it. When we talk about services, many things. We talk about things that are intangible, things that we can hardly recognize, but we talk about things that are always involving people and exchange among people. So we care about their experiences and the way they happen, but it hasn't always been like that. Our experiences and our interactions turn into expectations, and we try to build memories that can bring some improvement to our lives. So we have positive and negative aspects on every service, but the more and more that the goods we consume become intangible and dematerialize, the more aware we have become about service and service design. So we have positive and negative aspects of it, and it's been only recently, for maybe 20 years or so, that we are really recognizing that we need to design services. Services in the past normally came out just a necessity, of a cell. It was called like a bunch of actions that are put out there as a product. With the Industrial Revolution, everything was thought as a product. Even services were thought as products. But now that we are in a society that is digital and that dematerializes more and more, we are recognizing our necessity for experience. And that's what we are looking for today. So what we're going to do during this week is thinking about this new perspective about how everything we consume, everything we include in our lives, and everything that we are actually aiming for is becoming intangible, is becoming experiences, and is becoming immaterial. And this is a point where it's harder to connect all those experiences with everything that happens around us and everything that happens around our customers. Reality is becoming more and more complex all the time, and the market is as well. So our services and the experiences we put out there become a huge potential for infinite interactions. So the things that we sell, the things that we offer to our customers become very much connected to too many things. In the way we control these too many things that they get connected to or not, we will be able to change them and improve the experience people have with the services. The level of complexity that we are having at this point with load of information that we all can hardly manage, and a level of activities that we can hardly manage, especially with digital products that are all the time in our lives, it becomes like a roller coaster, and we don't seem to have like any rest. So the aim of designing the services, especially for those small companies that create very little improvements in people's lives, is to manage that complexity and make things more and more simple but more satisfactory. I want to show you this short video that I found on the internet, actually, so we can have a glimpse about service design as a general thing.
Services have been around forever. They used to be simple, but then the world got more complicated. We found more and more ways for customers to interact. Now, we have new ways to get from point A to point B. To manage our health and to handle our money. A successful service feels seamless like this. Customers want to do it again and again. Still, when you have so many touch points and so many stakeholders and countless other projects on the go, creating a seamless customer experience can seem nearly impossible. But it's not. How can service design help? Service design simplifies the complexity of delivering a service. It lets you see the world from your customer's point of view, from their first interaction to the building of a long-term relationship. What do they want? What are their needs? How would they like to do business? You'll be able to visualize their entire journey. Every touch point and context, every function involved. You'll see opportunities to differentiate and deliver greater value, and you can prioritize the areas that matter most. Service designers work directly with customers, frontline employees, and internal teams to prototype and iterate better interactions. Service design shows you both the 10,000-foot view of your service and the specific details you need to perfect. But even the best idea is useless if it won't work on the ground. You need the teams, internal processes, and technology to make it happen. With all these pieces in place, delivering a seamless experience becomes less of a moonshot and more of a slam dunk. So, ready to grow? Then let's get to work.
So, somehow to summarize all these, and this is my initiative, I would say that service design is a transformation of daily life, as complex as it can be today, with all this incredible and sometimes annoying amount of information and excitement, and from a consumption perspective, because most of the services that we design, unless it is public services, have a commercial perspective, and are also based on human needs. So there are like three main elements that, under my very personal view, service design should consider. But making an emphasis on not just transformation of daily life, but the improvement of it. To make it better is somehow to make it simpler, and to take a little distance from all the noise that we have today, and so many services and subscriptions all the time. So to get along with that, I'm going to show like 3 different examples about service design that have been completed by design thinkers. And these are like 3 very different views about what service design can do in a service economy. The first one is a project about how to understand service in a restaurant. This was commissioned by the Ministry of Economics. The development was using customer journey mapping, but the purpose was to provide small businesses with a way of understanding their clients and understanding the services they provide. In the second example, I will present two cases of healthcare, which is for me in service design the most important experience, because it's dealing with people's lives. So service design in healthcare really needs to be accurate, it really needs to be careful, and really needs to be deeply human, because it's an industry that deals with the people's life and death as well. So it's a different perspective from a restaurant where you can just go and nothing really extreme may happen. But with healthcare, life is at stake. And in the last example, we'll talk about human resources inside a big company, which is another perspective that we can take about designing services internally. Not necessarily commercial services that are going to be offered to market, but services that are going to be provided by the company to its own people. So these are like 3 different points of view about how complex and how detailed service design can act in 3 different points of view. So with this one, it was very interesting, because it was a request from government, but from a government that is thinking about how to support the small businesses and how to support entrepreneurs and companies that have no clue about service design. So this is another video, but it's quite simple. It's based also on how to use the customer journey mapping and why it is very relevant to understand everything that customer journey mapping is providing us. So
every restaurant wants its customers to be happy, but how can you tell whether this is actually the case? And how can effective improvements and innovations be made to your services? Finding the answers to these questions requires knowing more about your customers. What sort of people are they? What do they expect from the restaurant? Customer journey mapping, seeing things through customers' eyes, allows us to take a good look at a restaurant's services from the outside. Customers are asked to share their experiences in detail as part of our in-depth qualitative research. Cultural probing, one-on-one interviews, observations are all part of the customer journey mapping methodology, providing great insights and data to develop different personas. This student is looking for a comfortable place to eat and work with fellow students. He'd like to place group orders in advance, but finds the mobile website too complicated. This woman is having a tough day at work. She wants the convenience of ordering online and still having a relaxing time eating healthy food. This senior citizen is feeling lonely at home. She wants to go out for a snack and maybe a chat, but finds it confusing to order food at the counter. Finally, this working man is in a busy meeting. He would like to have his lunch delivered during his break and is anxious that it arrives on time. These customer journeys serve as a source of inspirational ideas. Imagine that you get to understand your customers better. You know which points in your service are below customer expectations, and you can develop new or improved ideas together with your customers. Let's say our student places his online group order without any problems. At the restaurant, his group sits at a large table with power socket, games and free internet. Our working woman can easily make healthy choices thanks to the clear information about nutritional values and ingredients. The atmosphere in the restaurant is relaxing and, after lunch, she can even stay for a free chair massage. Our senior citizen is shown to her seat by the friendly staff, where her order is taken. She soon finds someone to chat with. And our working man is focused on his meeting, sure that his business lunch will be delivered on time. Customer journey mapping enables you to effectively improve your services and work on a healthy future for your company, a future with happy customers.
So, this project, the ministry chose like 4 types of businesses that were like the most common in the country and the businesses that most people tend to open as a tradition. And they requested do like a template for businesses to be able to work with and to be able to understand how to deliver their services in a better way. We're taking the restaurant, which is basically in a first analysis, an easy case of understanding how food is delivered, or how you have like a front stage and a backstage where things happen with the kitchen and with the dining room. Everything was based on putting out there the customer journey mapping methodology and having real places to do the analysis on. So at first, the personas were created, like typical personas that will go into a restaurant in the city and the country, mostly in the big cities. And this is the sort of template that is being provided to the small businesses to work with. Essentially, they are provided with different types of pictures of different types of restaurants, maybe more dining room restaurants, or more fast food restaurants and cafeterias. And the template offers an analysis of what can be happening in which area of a typical restaurant, and somehow suggests what should each touch point in the shop be doing and at which time. So creating a template that could cover any type of restaurant, or at least 4 or 5 types of restaurants, 4 or 5 types of businesses, seems to be like a crazy idea for helping small companies develop their own services. but it was like the only option to really spread the word about how service design and customer journey mapping methodology could be useful for anybody, for anyone who has a very small business or doesn't have the ability or the budget to hire a service design agency. So that's why this is interesting, because it's like a government effort to somehow put service design in the culture of small businesses in the country, and it actually works. The cases, the templates were edited in a booklet that has been available online and for distribution in the country for almost 4 years, and it's like a handbook to do your own business. So the restaurant is just one of the cases. This example, I bring it because it's like a way of saying that you don't really need to put expensive, massive trainings or events like this that are at the end are a niche, are directed to very few people. We don't have someone from a small restaurant here. We have people interested in service design, and sometimes it's like a very small group of people. And that's why I find this example very interesting, how to put the service design and the customer journey mapping and the methodologies in the hands of those who are really needing it. Okay. So I'm going for the second sample, and these are two. This is more focused on the design of healthcare services at different levels. For healthcare, in the healthcare industry, especially when it comes to hospitals and clinics and service delivery, we have in this industry we have like two very big blocks, which is the public services, the public healthcare services, and then the private healthcare services that seem to be like two worlds apart, two very different ways of delivering the same type of service. And it only depends on the membership of the amount of money that you are putting out there. This is a project for Health Valley, and basically what we tried to do here was to kind of mindset change project, actually, more than healthcare, because the way healthcare services are delivered are from a clinical perspective and not from a service perspective. So the way hospitals and clinics and medical centers offer the services are normally based on the procedures that they have to develop to do any type of develop any type of attention to a patient, not from the patient needs. So the work here was more about awareness in the medical personnel about thinking how they are delivering the services and creating a more patient-centric way of delivering services. And this is an interesting experience in the way that it's not only the design of the service, but the design of the mindset of those who implement the service. So what are they really caring about, and what are they really thinking about? What are their goals? Are the goals to serve this patient, to understand the story, to really be able to heal not only physically but maybe emotionally, or just to comply to a protocol that is that is needed for medical procedure. This one is a project that was done for design thinkers in South Africa, and was more on the other side of a view. So this was more about how to design a patient experience inside the medical premises, inside the hospital or inside the medical center. So I bring up these two examples just to make an emphasis on the, it's not only about the design that we can do about a procedure or to develop a beautiful blueprint, it's how people are really incorporating that in their day-by-day work. And it needs to fit this mindset of the people that deliver the service. In the case of the healthcare industry, there are so many myths and there are so many stories about how doctors can be really, really close and warm people, or really, really cold and self-protective with the tragedies and the dramas that patients are going through. So both sides of the design, not only the design of the service that is delivered, but the design of the protocol and the way that people understand what they are doing and how they understand their job and their role in the development or the deployment of a service. So this is like a second approach to how we can really do that. The third one is a big company, is Coca-Cola, and this example is like dealing with complexity as well, dealing with an environment as big as the Coca-Cola company, and so big that the experience inside that ecosystem needs to be designed. So the way that people apply for jobs is transfers from one location to another, the way that the experience that people have when they are getting a promotion, or when they are becoming seniors, or when they have a change of team. This was becoming a huge delay in the processes in Coca-Cola. So they requested I'd rather show you the video. That's everything. An analysis of it, and how could they improve in human resources, like internally, not externally. How could they create these journeys inside the company globally to be enjoyable and to be like fulfilling for Coca-Cola employees, which are like. I'll play the video.
The customer-centric workshop, which we've been running for the past few days, is a great opportunity to bring people together from across the globe to focus on some unique business challenges. So what's been quite unique about this workshop is that we've created a customer design council. This is a design council that represents people from across the globe, outside of the HR function, that we've got together, and they have given us valuable insights about how they experience the hiring and the onboarding process. They've told us it's complex, it's intense, but now we've got them together and they're giving us some valuable insights about how they feel. We're looking to reduce the stress, we're trying to make this intuitive, we're trying to make this a fairly easy process.
Looking at it through the eyes of the end user, looking at it from the perspective of the people who are ultimately using the process. And for me that's really important, because if you're going to get it right, you need to look at it through the eyes of the people who are using it.
I don't get to see the reality of the situation in the role that I'm in, so it's good to actually hear what the experience is really like.
Co-creation is so difficult to do in a huge organization like Coca-Cola. Any organization of that size has problems with silos, different regions.
We have participants here from Mauritius, from Turkey, from China, from Indonesia, from India, from Poland, Argentina. And so we've managed to bring the quite diverse group of people with a diverse background to work together using the new methodology, and we've managed, I think, successfully to introduce the tools that help them to redesign the customer experience.
We, as HR, we have to create wonderful experiences, happy moments for our people selling Coca-Cola. Our services and the quality of our experiences will translate in a better service and better experience towards our customers, towards our consumers.
There are some inconsistencies between regions and between departments and stuff, so it really gave us the chance to see it from a holistic perspective and get some best learnings from each part of the world. So all this customer-centric design model really helped us to focus on the pain points and really define the opportunities. So it was a great learning journey.
If I could summarize up this 3-day workshop, it was fun.
Creativity is very important. You have to be flexible. You have to find new ways of doing something. And if you're not innovative, you're never going to change with the times. So I think that's the key to keeping up with the customer and keeping up with technology.
By bringing people together from across the globe, we believe we've added immense value by not only focusing on HR service delivery, but the fact that this capability can be used across the other functions. I believe that's huge value for the business.
The design of internal services at this scale is funny, but it's very similar to what you can develop for a city council or even government. Companies like these are so huge and deal with the experience of so many people that they have sometimes they have to behave as if they were a country. So that was a funny conversation. This is an activity, for example, that is traveling across the globe, being done in Brazil, being done in the States, being done in Europe, in very different markets. So the culture of designing services for human resources can be completed across the company, which is very similar to working with a big environment like a city council or like a country. So in this sense, the corporations and the big companies, when they are aware of the experience that their own employees have inside, and they decide to have the design of procedures or the design of journeys or the design of internal experiences, have this kind of big dimension that follows the corporate policy, but also need to follow like the regional particularities and the local needs of the employees. So for each location, of course, different types of experiences are developed, and they are the results of a blueprints, the results of the research, and the result of these interviews and analysis is showing that even though this is a very big company and it's global, it's not really, how would you say, it's not really standard around the globe, and they need adaptation regionally or locally to be able to really work. So there's not like a one standard policy or one standard design of a service that could work everywhere. Not anymore. Maybe in the 80s or 90s that could be like assumed, but never really work. So in the case of Coca-Cola, what I'm trying to point out is how this one design of experience of an internal journey with human resources needs to be adapted and needs to be modified, and it needs to have the grace of each region and each location. So these are the three examples that I wanted to show you. and I would really like to discuss now, and I would really like to have your questions. I would really like to invite Ariel to come here with me, and so we could like somehow start the week. I'm just giving you this input brief of 3 examples about different types and different environments for service design. So you could like, I don't know, maybe reflect a little bit, and we would really love to hear your comments, your questions. So I don't know what, for example, what do you think about the 3 examples? Right, you know, here.
No. Hi everyone. All right. I think they cover really well the wide variety of product cases that you will encounter as a service design consultant. Sometimes, oftentimes you are not like really involved with what people think that is design, like really designing tangible stuff or graphic design or interior design, product design, but by doing service design, you are designing some kind of framework in which all the other designers will work, right? So I think there, of course, you can think of other sectors and possibilities, but I think this cover really well the type of work a service designer does.
So do you have any comments, questions about what you just saw? You need a microphone.
Thank you. When you were talking about the design in human resources, the experience design for the employees, is that something similar to employee brand, or would it be something evolved from employee brands, from big corporations?
With the example that we presented here, it's more about how human resources needs to be aware, if not create, experience in the workplace, and how the day-by-day work and the process of entering and working in a company and even leaving a company needs to be thought and designed. So all these protocols and all these procedures that normally don't have an understanding, that just happen in companies like Coca-Cola, and I would say like maybe any company should really think about this, should be aware of what is going on with my people, how they experience working and spending a lot of their time inside our premises and following our directives and policies, even if it is a 5-people company, how those 5 feel working for that company, and how can we improve that experience from the human resources or human talent departments is normally related to the productivity of the people. So how can we improve these experiences to make work enjoyable, to make work really good experience? So I don't know if you...
We are not being, like, this is not being streamed or recorded, right?
It is.
It is,
yeah.
Okay. So then it's good to know, because of course I'm under NDA. So a recent project I did with a large fashion company, it was very interesting because what we did was we had to redesign the design process of the fashion designers and product managers and commercial liaisons, people with manufacturing countries, and lots of complex network of stakeholders. We basically, I'm a design methodologist. That's why they hired me. Like, they wanted me to go there and tell them, well, what am I doing wrong? They asked, like, what should we do differently? And we said, well, we can approach this as a service design project. So what we did was, first, we mapped the existing design process, like in user similar techniques as customer experience mapping. We identified several pain points and gain points for all the different stakeholders and for the individuals themselves as well, bottlenecks and friction points as well, that things that will costing the company a lot of money because of like bad flows and bad management. So they, in a way, they wanted to streamline the process, but they also they wanted to redesign and make all the involved parties to work in a more relaxed fashion, because they were really stressed out and they were like getting lots of complaints about people getting burned out, basically. So we started with co-creation sessions in which we basically mapped the current situations, and we started with small groups, and then we added more people, and we added different roles like product managers and people that were working as liaisons with manufacturing countries. We added several other types of stakeholders, and we mapped, we created the final map of the present situation. And then we identified several moments that were critical for the design process as a service. And then we worked with the same team in order to improve this process. And of course, this was not only a matter of what they liked or disliked. It was, this has to fit a company workflow. So we redesigned this new process, and it has been implemented, 9 months ago, and it's working better than it was. It's not perfect, still there's lots of opportunities to improvement, but it was already it is saving them money. And some people, the thing was some people didn't like the change because they were really used to what they were doing before, and the new way of working didn't suit them, so they left the company. But well, that's a side effect.
Okay. Please. Yeah.
Hello. You said that you was doing some sessions about co-creation, yes. And I would like to know how long it takes. It's like a 1 year working with this kind of sessions. It's about 3 months in order to create this customer journey mapping. Okay, well, that depends on the project. If you have in this particular project, we took 3.5, 4 months, less than 4 months from start to finish. But this was actually, it was a very complex project in a human factors way. We had to, of course, we had to deal with lots of humans. But we didn't have, there were no many constraints from technical issues, this was not it was not like working for a restaurant in which you have to take into consideration how this, the kitchen is going to work, and the logistics and the operations. This was, in a way, it was a more complex project, but in a way it was a more difficult project than a traditional service design project. And the duration, I think you can have all types of durations, but it's not common anymore. Companies don't engage in really long projects anymore. Like a year project, that will be really, really too long. And people, companies, they will try to, maybe Jorge doesn't share this view, but I think most companies will go for smaller projects, and they will try to chunk these tasks into smaller projects because they're safer. A 1 year project in nowadays business context is, you don't know if the product owner will be there by the end of the year. People change companies very rapidly, and it's usually 3-4 months that will be long enough.
In that sense, just to add a little to what Ariel just said. In that sense, most service design agencies are also starting to provide like time-fixed products to companies. So, for example, a 3-month process or a 1-month process to solve specific problems according to the complexity of those problems. So these are like preset services that are boxed, that are packaged. So depending on the type of complexity that you have inside a company, you can say, okay, I recommend A, B, or C. So the project doesn't go long forever because, as you said, companies are not really interested in developing a project and let's see when it ends or let's see what it brings. They want like to have like clear objectives and clear starting point and end point. So that's how it's being worked.
Is there a difference between service design and experimental design? Experience design.
Okay, that's kind of if you go to a service design conference and you should not ask this question because like service designers, not us, but like you have like different tribes, you know, and some tribes like a service design, like some people are like they will say like service design is very different from all other types of design, you know, like experience design, that's a different thing altogether, or interaction design, that's a totally different thing altogether. But if you take a look, and if you're honest and you take a look about like views and mindset and methodologies and deliverables and techniques, then you see that there's lots of overlap. So of course, experience design is also another type of it's a type of design that is controversial for some people because it's very hard for a designer to design an experience. I cannot go into somebody's mind and design what kind of experience this person is going to have. I can only design some kind of framework for that experience to happen. But so there's lots of resistance to the term experience design, but of course it's a well-established one. On the other hand, like you could say that experience design, if it exists at all, it belongs to interaction design, it belongs to service design, it probably belongs to all types of design, but because even graphic design has an experiential dimension, or product design. So sometimes experience design is also being used for like attraction parks and recreation parks and squares and that type of things, but I don't know, it's not the same. Like service design is nowadays a proper field with their own conferences and magazines, and so it's a well-established field. As every new field, they are really jealous, or no, not jealous, but they are really the pure service design people are really. I'm not one. I'm a hybrid. I come from the interaction design field, but I say the interaction designers, they tend to be like really. They want to have their safe space around the discipline, right?
Protective.
Yes. Yeah, just they tend to be like restrictive and low. That's a different thing. That's service design. But take, I don't know, personas for example. I mean, personas were developed by the people from Cooper in the late 90s, you know, and there was for the interaction design field. Cooper was a well-known interaction designer, and they're doing service design nowadays, and you have lots of firms like them that came from the interaction design or experience design disciplines, and they will be offering service design services nowadays.
Thank you.
Do you guys have any of your favorite service design out there in the world right now, and why?
You mean like a ready-made service design service that is well designed?
A company or a brand which offers service design, which you think it's like amazing, yeah, and why?
You want to answer that first?
No. Well, we're really proud of our own company.
Yeah, of course, his is my favorite company.
But not really.
Well, there's lots of companies out there doing good things, and that depends on the type of. I mean, you have in service design, you have like you've seen the last 10 years. There's been an explosion of different types of agencies, and then you have like huge companies like Accenture bought Fjord a while ago, like 2 years ago, because they needed that. You know, they realized, Accenture realized that they were missing this interaction design part and this service design part, and they bought a company that was offering that on a global scale. And they were doing a great job. They were doing a great job. Like they had their own methodology. They were servicing large companies or also smaller companies in different markets. But then you also have like smaller studios that are doing great things, you know, and smaller studios like for instance, doing lots of great things in healthcare. You know, like there are very few, 6 guys or 7 people. I mean, they're really, but they're like a boutique service design studio, and you have companies that were like they were acquired by recently. They were from the Netherlands. You probably know that. Inge, Eric, what was his company? Silver, yeah. They were acquired by Live Work in the UK. So you unlike Design Thinkers, you see lots of networks around the world working in a kind of small boutique basis, right? And probably you will see like 2 different types of huge and small. Those I mentioned some names. Right?
It's probably easier to think about favorite service design projects or cases. Then, because every company has ups and downs, and every service design company or studio has goods and bads, like everybody.
So maybe projects?
Like this. I just brought my favorites.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I just showed my project.
I have there's one from a competitor that I really like from Design It. They have this project they did in Denmark, I think it was, or it was in Sweden. It was from either Denmark or Sweden, in which it was about when a woman has a breast a consultation for breast cancer, for getting breast cancer detected. It took really long between the test and until the results were provided. And basically what they did was redesign that information process, like information, how the information was being disclosed, to whom, from whom, etc. So that was, in a way, it was a kind of a very significant, meaningful project, like the one with healthcare, because you have something that is trivial from a logistics perspective, from a human being. It has a tremendous impact. Like, imagine you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you, oh, you need to have, I don't know, to do this or any other clinical test. And then once you get that done, until you get the results, sometimes it's like 3-4 weeks until you find out. And those are horrible times for yourself, you know, and for your family. But of course, for the doctors and the technicians and the hospitals and the labs, the lives goes on, and they don't care at all. But so this is a very interesting project, and they reduced the time that was needed for a person to not to find out, because they didn't speed the process up. What they did was they redesigned the information, the way the information was being disclosed to the patient.
Thank you.
With this same case of the doctors, how do you make to change the mindset of someone that's like really strong? In the case of doctors being cold, and it's like a protective shield they build around them, how do you create a service that's going to destroy that shield they built? Or
I think one this is, you mentioned doctors, but this is actually every time you do service design, you are working with the company. That's something I will talk about later during the class, but on the primer. But you are working with people, and people are reluctant to change and resistant to change. So it doesn't matter. I mean, you mentioned doctors, but this will apply to everyone.
Yeah.
That has the way they're working redesigned. So there's one way, one very significant way, and this interaction. Service design takes this from this view really deep and hard, is that creating a sense of co-ownership. You know, like if you allow not every doctor, but a set of doctors to participate in the process.
Yeah.
Then it's not just to make them feel right about it or to get it right, but it's also to create a shared ownership. Mm-hmm. So the result that is then being implemented and the result that is being deployed, that will be a result that it was created by your peers. So you will be like more eager to embrace the change, because it's not something that has been imposed on you by a third party, but it's maybe you were involved, but maybe another doctor was involved. And then, it's because of affinity and other reasons, then you will be more eager to adapt.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It will cost you time and effort, of course, but it's not easy. That's why lots of companies try to do pilots and to start on a smaller scale. It will be really, you cannot take a 5,000 a hospital with 5,000 employees and change it from scratch. You will start with a small unit, maybe just a pilot with 40 people and see how it goes, and then we'll roll it out to the rest of the institution.
Okay. In that case, it could be, as you say, doctors, or it could be public servants, or it could be anybody that has a mindset and a way of working. But I think it has like two levels. One level is the service design part, and the other one is what we like to call cultural innovation. And when I talk about cultural innovation, it's not like culture, like museums and festivals, but the corporate culture or the work culture that is inside the clinic or the company or the institution. So in this case, when you have people that are more reluctant to these type of changes, we have worked a lot with government. That means working with public servants that have a kind of comfortable position in the world in general. Like doctors, they have also a very clear role in society, so they have a mindset, and that is kind of fixed. So that approach, that culture, that way of relating to the patients and to the rest of the system is needs to be also rethought, and it can actually be designed and discussed. And I believe that in that case, co-creation and putting people together out of the roles works really well. Like in the public sector and in healthcare as well, also both private and public, hierarchy is very strong. So trying to take people and make them relate as people out of that hierarchy normally works. So that's what I would say.
I'll come back to a previous question, and I'll also connect to this, the cultural issues that Jorge is talking about. This is a great project that was done, commissioned by the NHS in the UK, and they found the health care organization in the UK, and they saw that they were having lots of bugs in the hospitals, lots of infections and disease was being spread out because of germs that were not properly cleaned in the hospitals. So basically what they did was they studied among other things, of course, there's several products that came out of this project, but they studied how people, the cleaners, how were they cleaning these small cabinets. And they realized that, of course, they could not change some aspects. I mean, at least not easy. They could not easily change some aspects of the cleaning culture they had. So this is the product that they came with, and this is a great product because this is a cabinet that is meant to be easily cleaned. So the idea here is not to change the person cleaning, but the idea is to make a product that is easier to clean. And because of that, of course, they lower the infection rates, etc. But this is a great example of how you can conduct user research and end up developing a great product service, because this is a part of a larger. This is only one product, but as Jorge said before, like, of course you will have products, but they will belong to a larger service. There was another question.
Hi, good evening. Well, there is a big boom of entrepreneurial, and there are many startups that are growing. So from your advice, what do you think that the service design can give, or what approach they can have these new startups if they are using service design? And also what it will be the impact if they are using these methodologies, like in this kind of project that we are seeing today?
Okay, I think service design can offer something to any. Of course, being an entrepreneur is a specific type of business person, but service design is a business tool. So, of course, it can help entrepreneurs of any types. And they are already working with these techniques. Some of the techniques you will see in the next stage, they are very popular among the startup community. Of course, you have different types of you have like startups that are like purely web-based, but you also have like hybrid. I mean, hybrid in the sense that there's a real-world thing going on as well. Like take Uber, for example. I mean, that will be an example of a hybrid service. That the web is necessary, of course, indispensable, but you also need cars that are real objects. In the next during the class, I will talk about different types of platforms that we have nowadays, and when I talk about service, and platforms like Spotify or Uber are specific types of services that are meant to happen online, right? And I will discuss that later. But what you can offer, of course, this user or customer-centric view is crucial for any startup. Of course, I don't have a recipe, and I don't think Jorge does either. Like these entrepreneurs, they gamble with an idea. They have a hunch or an intuition that they know they want to change the world, or they want to change the neighborhood or whatever. And these techniques, it will help them to create a better value proposition, to create a better experience. So that's the value is clear. And if you see, if you go to lots of events for entrepreneurs, they are always talk about customer canvas mapping or customer experience mapping or value proposition canvas, and all those are like hybrid tools that cover both the service and the business part.
I agree with that, and I think that in the entrepreneurial world, what service design and other similar methodologies bring is the possibility of finding the uniqueness for that specific entrepreneurial project. In the past, entrepreneurship was a little bit like a cookie factory where all bars were the same, or shops were kind of the same, and the difference was mainly on who owns it and how they relate to people. Right now that we have all these methodologies, these are methodologies that can really help entrepreneurs or small business owners find their uniqueness, their special feature, and as he said, the specific value proposition that they can bring. So that is very specific thing, and that uniqueness that a business can have. You can have a lot of cafeterias, but there are certain cafeterias that you like the most for certain things because it's their uniqueness.
I think this is an example of one of the earliest product service service products we can have, and this is the Kodak camera. Like this is from the late 19th century, and the photo cameras back then were really complex, and they were like, if you want to have your picture done, you had to go to a special place, and there will be a professional photographer with a very equipment that was very expensive and was really hard to use. And of course you could not go there as you please, and you had to go somewhere, a specific location, in order to have your picture taken. But the George Eastman and the owner and the Eastman people, one of the owners of the Kodak company, they realized that there was a need, a human need, like people wanted to make pictures. And also there were rich people who would travel around with a photographer. But that was like, if you were really rich, like if you were, I don't know, the King of England, you could travel around with a photographer. But if you were just normal rich, like you will go on a journey and you will not be able to afford your private photographer. So, but these moderately rich people that were traveling around wanted to have pictures taken as well, but it was not possible. So he, among many other things, he realized that there was a market for portable cameras, and that's how the personal camera was born. The thing is that he also realized that the camera was really hard to use, and he also realized that you make pictures, but you need to get these pictures developed. So he envisioned a whole system, a whole service around this camera. So you bought a box, and the box was the camera, but the camera came with preloaded film. Once you took all these pictures you wanted to take, you send this camera to a lab, and the lab sent you the pictures back with the camera with another preloaded film. So of course he was not using customer journey in the way we are using it now. He was not using personas the way we are developing them now, but he was already thinking with this service mindset. So this is a prime example of how an entrepreneur was really thinking with service design thinking. Yeah.
So going back to the previous question, you mentioned the change of mindsets, also the cultural thing, but there are some other issues like legal issues. There will be like also legal issues that stuff, but what are the future problems that service design is facing, and how to reduce them or how to fight them?
Okay. I think there are several. On the legal side, one of probably the core issue nowadays you have lots of legal issues like unions. Like if you are imagine you want to change the way the metro works, like you do a new service design for the metro company, you will face lots of opposition, and so many of this opposition might be right. I mean, they might have a right argument, but you will face lots of opposition from the unions. You will face lots of opposition from other official institutions as well, because it's really hard to change. I mean, when you change a service has been, in a way, it evolved because of the constraints the service was facing. So, for example, I'll give you an example. If you go to Plaza Catalunya, you take the metro, and then you want to switch to the train, which are basically on the same, like 10 meters apart from each other, you have to go up and exit the metro part and enter the train part, with your ticket. So this will happen in probably all Spanish cities. I mean, I know Bilbao, it's the same. Even they have a better metro system, a prettier and more efficient one, but it's the same. So then you have like two companies. You could easily you could think, oh, I'm gonna make things easier for the customers, but it will be really, really hard to put these two companies together so that the user has a seamless experience and etc. So you will face opposition from the companies themselves or the competition as well. But I think there's one issue that it will become really important in the near future, and that's privacy, data issues, like what happens with all the data you are generating nowadays. Most of it, I mean, you generate a lot of data with your mobile phone, but you are not really generating a lot of data with the services you use in most cases. In the sense that let's say you take the metro and you enter the metro and then you travel, and there's no, of course in your mobile phone there is, your trip has been tracked, but the metro is not tracking how you moved around it. If you introduce, I don't know, a card with a chip, then you will have another thing. Then the metro company will know that maybe not you, but a user entered in, I don't know, Liceo and got out of the metro in Ciudad Universitaria. So there's a privacy issue that is really important. In some countries, this chip card, it can be made. I remember the case in Argentina. They introduced this type of chip cards, and they wanted to make one available per person. So basically, the card was connected to you on a personal basis. So you were basically, it was possible for the government to track you at all times. Of course, they didn't implement that, but imagine if an evil government does that I mean, that's not, with the examples we know, it's not too far-fetched.
Well, that's what it's happening with the wearables.
Yes.
The watches and these kind of things. Because somehow they're linked to you, and they can know if you're happy or excited or sweating, so it's really day by day. If you keep them all day, it's different than what can be tracked with a telephone. That it's not on you, but this is real, like long time tracking during the day because you're wearing it. So most wearables are providing this type of information and data.
Yeah, and you see lots of services that are like based on, I mean, data is, of course, this is not me, that I didn't come up with this. This is not my. No, I'm not the author of this thought, but data is the new oil, and it's true. I mean, all these companies, they want to gather as much data as they can, even if they don't know what they can do with it yet.
It's funny.
But they will. I mean, the case was in the news a couple of weeks ago, like Uber, and I know some of you really like Uber, but Uber was, even after you uninstall the app, it was still tracking you for a while on your phone. But let's find a different example, like genetic testing. You say, oh, well, genetic testing is a great thing because I can get my genes tested and I can know if I have some higher probability of catching a disease or whatever. In some countries, if you don't have the genetic information about you, then you don't have to do anything. But if you do have the genetic information about you, and you have, because of that, a higher probability for a medical condition, you have to inform your medical insurance company. So if you don't, then your medical insurance can claim that's a precondition, and they won't cover the charges you incurred in. So there's lots of legal issues related to data, related to privacy, and also related to rights. There's a huge movement, it's growing, it's still not huge, I'm exaggerating here, but it's growing, and they fight for who is the owner of the data that smart cities generate. You know, like nowadays, that's not an issue because it's not important, but it will be soon. So who's the owner of that data? Is the citizen is the owner, the city is the owner, the company that provided the infrastructure, General Electric or Siemens, you know, and then with the Internet of Things, like you will be, I mean, the other day, imagine if what we had on Friday with this virus, imagine if we were like in 10 years, like the Internet of Things, we have this house and our home is hacked, and then you will not be able to enter your home. It can be so simple as that. Or maybe not flush the toilet, you know, because you have a smart toilet that you say, oh, it's great, I'm going to have a smart toilet and it will control my water, like how much water I use every time I flush the toilet. But it will be connected to the internet, and if it's connected, it can be hacked. So it's lots of issues related to cybercrime as well, and piracy.
And control.
And control, yes.
Yeah.
Control. So that has not been regulated, not properly regulated yet. So we will see lots of discussion. Hopefully, we will see lots of discussion around these issues and ethical issues as well. Ethical issues are also another. I mean, it has a legal correlation, but not necessarily. Something can be illegal and not really ethical.
It's the issue always of technology and business going faster than law. So there's always like a breach where things happen.
Hi Ariel, hi Jorge, Daniel here. I really love the example you gave on these new Kodak cameras, mainly because of their strap line. You press a button and we do the rest. I didn't know this example.
It's a great slogan.
Yeah, I'm quite fascinated because 130 years, another company, Amazon, is doing the same with the IoT technology with the Amazon Dash. I don't know if you are acquainted with it, that it's just a button, for instance, for the washing machine detergent that is branded as Tide, and you just press the button once and they deliver that detergent at your home. And my question is, while I completely understood that this example of the new Kodak cameras was crafted for the user and looking at expanding the market of cameras to not the very wealthy rich, but just the rich. My question is, do you think the Amazon Dash is thought through based on the user needs and behavior, or based on making the logistics within Amazon easier process to manage, or even a third option? I don't know. I'm giving you two options, but
okay. I don't know how they came up with that, but my first guess is that because the technology was available, they just said we could do that. You know, we could do it. The thing with Amazon is that they will be able to generate so much data that they already are, like, their artificial intelligence systems are, I mean, still not great, but because they have so much data, they can produce great results. That's the thing, you know, when you think about artificial intelligence and you're talking about generating data, and of course, one of the things, probably it's as much, it's as important as to make it easier for you as to gather data. Like when every time all these companies, they generate data, they give you possibilities to do new things, they generate data, and because of that data, they can improve their business. The other day, I put the example, I will put it later, but I use it now. Like Rolls-Royce, they used to manufacture engines for planes. They still do, but they don't sell them anymore. They rent into you, so you are an airline or a plane manufacturer. You rent these engines from Rolls-Royce, and these engines, they come with so many sensors, and the information that Rolls-Royce gather from them, it's used in order to make better engines. So it's not only so that the plane flies better at that particular time, but it's also, it will be used for research and development purposes. And going back to the Dash example, this is all about reducing friction. That's an old mantra in interaction design. And of course, like clicking on a button next to the washing machine, that seems to be a great idea because it reduces friction, but it might not be the best thing to do. You know, it's like sometimes friction is good because it will make you think about things twice. You know, it's like all these behaviors that heating, you know, like central heating. Of course, because we have thermostats, like they are, we don't have to decide how warm we want our house. It has been pre-programmed and we don't think about it. But maybe if we had a system that had more friction built in, then we will think about it twice, and at least we will have to stand up and go to the heating control and put the heating higher if we were cold. And that will, I mean, maybe making us think about the use of the technology, then we will make better decisions. But now all this friction is taken away from us, and then we don't think about it, so we don't decide. And that's why sometimes we engage in behavior that is really wrong for us, for the world, for society. And then, of course, I'm talking about heating, and it was this Nest. That was Nest, right? Of course, this is not a technical challenge, but it's what you can gather so much data with that. It's not about like controlling the heating that your Google was developing Nest. It was with other interest.
Moral question.
Yeah, it's a moral question, of course.
We're going for one more question, and then we can have a coffee break, so you can mingle and choose the projects you want to work with for the rest of the week. All right. So, anybody has a final question for this segment? It's off. Yeah. Push the button.
We do the rest.
Just push the button.
Okay. Well, just regarding big data and just this comment from Das, they say that just without data you are just another person with one opinion. So what does it mean? It's like now with the big data, when we are starting to redesign the process and service design, we need to have big data, or we can have like market research from people and interviews, or we are gonna just need more and more like big data.
That's a beautiful question. I think that's a beautiful question.
I think it's a great question, and it's I mean, I don't know. I don't have a clear-cut answer for that, but there was, I mean, this is the topic that is being discussed in most conferences when you talk about the impact of big data for service design and for product design. There's, of course, the thing with there are many things, but when we talk about big data, like most people don't realize that it's not only about the data, but it's only about learning. Like you have big data and there's only data and there's nothing. You need machine learning in order to generate, to do something with that data. So machine learning needs training. And for example, Google, I think it's Google, no, it's Facebook is teaching its systems to automatically label what you see on a picture. Like when you search on Google Images, like I did now in order to find this image, like the images I'm being shown are images that come because of the text that is next to those images. So Google is not really understanding the image itself; it's understanding the text around it.
The tags.
And the tags that might be there, or the text in the article that this image belongs to. But Facebook is trying to, the way it does with labeling, with automatic labeling, with recognition, face recognition techniques. So they are able to do that because they have big data, but because they have like machine learning systems that are learning. Going back to the central issue, I don't think you will be able to use big data, at least not in the near future, in order to know what to do. Because you need to, you will be able to use big data to, once you have defined the type of problem you have, but this data won't tell you what type of service you have to do. Google has been famous for testing 20 shades of blue in order to optimize their web pages. And then what you have is just, okay, I have 20 pages, and which one has the better conversion rate, or which one sells the most, or which one is easier to use. But you need to ask the question. You need to know that conversion rate is an important issue. A machine will not tell you that's an important issue, at least not now.
I think that it's funny how we tend to believe in things like too much. Not too long ago, we believed like almost blindly in statistics. We definitely believed anything that was a statistic or demographic. That's the way we believed until not too long ago. And now we believe in data because it's what we have to believe now. But I think that the type of information and mostly the type of interpretation of reality that you can have through different means is always different. So even though if we have artificial intelligence learning how to process this kind of information, the things that you can do with ethnography are different because the process is different and the results that will come out is different. I wouldn't say better, I wouldn't say worse, just a new source of information that you can use and a new tool that you can use to design and to work with. So why not still use statistics just to have like that point of view, and then other more sensorial or human-oriented types of gathering information and big data. So I see it as just another tool or just another source that you can have to work with.
The thing, this data, it's not like a thing that is independent from us. It depends on how, like there's lots of examples, but this data in a way will tell us things, and that will be dependent on how we regard those things. I mean, there has been a famous example with biases that are built into the algorithms. Like if you search for white teenagers in Google, then you have lots of happy Tommy Hilfiger white teenagers. But if you search for black teenagers, then you have mugshots. There was a case with when a black woman was categorized as a gorilla because there were like the algorithms that were developed in Silicon Valley by white men. So all these biases and these mind mistakes are built into the data. So of course, as far as I know, artificial intelligence is advancing rapidly, but still is not a very intelligent artificial intelligence. It's really stupid, but it works really well in very narrow domains. So it's like, it will be great for, I don't know, Roomba. You can have this year's Roomba is much better than last year's Roomba. And probably in 5 years, we will have a great Roomba. And now it maps your home, it makes a map of your house. But you cannot ask the Roomba to make coffee for you. It's not that it will become intelligent and it will tell you what to do. Your Roomba will not tell you what you have to design. And so that's a different story.
Okay. Should we go for a cup of coffee and talk a little bit and mingle and come back like in, I don't know, 15, 20?
Is the class going to be here?
So we can start working with REL and methodologies. Thank you so much.
Okay.